Hi, my name is Brian. I'm a DevOps consultant with Release Team, and today in our web series, What Makes a Jira Project, we're going to go over notifications. What are notifications? They are exactly as they sound. They are what drive the email notifications to your team, and if you're using a Jira Service Management project, your customers. So here we are in our mobile dev project, a software project, in the summary screen. We've already gone over issue types or work item types, priorities, workflows, screens, and fields. Now we're going to talk about notifications. So you'll see here it mentions scheme. So we're going to click on that scheme name. Now what is a notification scheme? It's not like our previous schemes that we've talked about with workflows and issue types and screens. It's a little more simple in this one. Really, a notification scheme is just your notification settings that can be applied to your project. So we clicked inside of that. Now what do we see here? Well, as I mentioned, this is a software project, so it's going to say internal notifications. We'll show the differences of the JSM notification scheme in just a few moments. It'll show the notification email that you have here, and then it's going to show the name, and something that's very important is how many projects are sharing that scheme. Now, one similarity between all the schemes, regardless if it's workflow, screens, work item type, if it's being used by multiple projects, any update that you make will make an update for all of those projects. So keep that in mind as we go through this and talk about making updates, that if you are making an update to a scheme, a notification scheme that is associated with multiple projects as indicated here, it will make those updates for all the projects. So what else is this showing? Over here we have our notification type. This is dictating the action that's going to send out the notification. And over here we have our recipients. Now these can be updated to have it for custom recipients, and I will show you those options here shortly. But let's briefly talk about the notification type and what does that mean. We're not going to cover every single one of them here, but we'll go over some important ones. So we have when a work item is created. So when a work item is created, this will send out a notification to those recipients. Same with a work item being edited. If you're assigned to a work item, it's going to send a notification as well. And then we have a work item is resolved. Now, when is a work item actually resolved? If you remember from our workflow video, a work item is considered resolved when the resolution field equals any other value than unresolved or empty. So done, canceled, complete, etc., etc. Once there is a value in there, a work item is resolved, and that will trigger this notification. We then have someone made a comment. So a comment is made that can send out a notification. Quite a few here talk about comments, edited, deleted. If a work item is reopened, a work item is deleted or moved. Work is logged, so if you have the time settings set up on your screens and you're logging work to each work item, it will send out a notification. Same with started, stop, work log entry, work log being deleted, and a work item being updated by a workflow transition. So those are what triggers the notifications to go out. And like I said, over here you have your recipients. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the action options are on our notification scheme. We have edit notifications, or we can use a different notification scheme. I would like to go ahead and use a different notification scheme because this one's being used by a lot and I don't want to make any edits. So let's go ahead, let's create a new notification scheme that we can use for this project. So now we're going to go ahead and create a brand new notification scheme to use for that project. And I got here by navigating up to the cog or our settings menu, by going to work items, and then scrolling down here to notification schemes. As you see here, it's going to show us the current notification schemes that we have set up, along with a few actions where we can look at the scheme, we can copy it, we can edit it or delete it. Let's go ahead and let's actually copy this default notification scheme. I like a lot of the actions and the recipients that are being used in this one, so I don't want to reinvent the wheel here. I want to go ahead and build off of it without making changes to these other projects. So what we're going to do is go ahead and hit copy, and you'll see what it does is it creates a brand new notification scheme, and it will just add a copy of in front of it. So let's go ahead and hit edit. From here, we can update our notification scheme name, and I'm going to call this mobile dev notification scheme. You can place a description if you like. I always recommend to put a description in if it is a new scheme or anything, just so that way those who are also in the project admin section or the Jira admin section know the purpose of this scheme. So we're going to hit update, and now see here, it has updated the name. So we can just click on the name of the scheme, and then this is going to take us to the edit notifications scheme page. So from here, we can add a notification, or we can go back and view all the notification schemes. I don't think we want to do that right now. So you see here, we copy that default notification scheme, and you're going to see that everything we saw before is still here. It's all still here. The recipients are the same. Now, since we're in the edit notifications page, there's a few different options, right? It's going to show you these are system notification types. It's going to show you over here that you are allowed to delete that recipient or add. So let's click on one of these first. So let's hit the action when a work item is created. Let's hit add. And now when we click that, it's going to take us just to the add notification screen that we would if we clicked add notification from the top of that edit notification screen. So we want to make an addition to a work item is created notification. So we want to make sure that we're making an update to a work item is created notification type. Now, if you need to select multiple notification types and make a single edit to those, you can do so by holding down Shift or whatever button you would hold on a Mac to do this. But we are just looking for a work item is created. And next is who's going to be the recipient. So we have the current assignee, you can have the reporter, the current user, project lead, the component lead, a single user. So maybe you do have just a single user that needs to be aware of this, and it's easier to have them in here. I would recommend trying to use, a project role or something like that. But if you need to single out a user, you could certainly do so here by typing into this box and getting a list of those matches. A group, so if you have Active Directory or anything like that tied, those groups, or just your internal Jira groups as well. Your project roles, which this is one of the best ways to get notifications sent to a larger group of people and not always have to make an edit. If you were to add 5 or 6 single users, and then let's say that user goes to a different team or the user leaves the company, you don't want to have to sit there and make an edit to the notification scheme every single time and add or remove. If you do it under project role, when you make an update to that project role, which we'll go over in our permissions video, that makes those updates in this notification scheme already for you. And you can choose from the project roles that you have in there. So make sure you check out our permissions video where we go over project roles. Watchers, whenever you're in a work item, you can select the little eyeball option, and that's going to make you a watcher. So please be aware, if you have all watchers selected for every single notification, they're going to get a notification every time. And then you can use a user custom field value. So if you have any custom fields that are maybe using user things, such as here, it shows request participants. Since we're talking about a Jira software project, that one doesn't make sense, but certainly this can work for a Jira service management project. Or you may have manager, things like that. And then a group custom field value. So if you're using another field that is a group custom field, you can then go ahead and use that value for that group. So what we want to do here is I actually want to make sure the project lead is aware of all work items created. They asked me, can we make it so that I am aware of all work items created in this project? So we have it here, a work item is created, and we've added our project lead. We're going to hit add. And now you see here under the notification type, a work item is created. We have our project lead. Another request that came in is our watchers are saying they're getting too many notifications. They don't want to know whenever a work item is edited or when a comment is edited. They just want to know when a work item is created, resolved, and there's a new comment. So how do we do that? Well, as kind of mentioned before, we have this option here to delete a recipient from a notification type. So they don't want to know when a work item is edited. So let's go ahead and select delete. It's going to prompt you to confirm that you want to delete all watchers from the notification type a work item is edited. We can hit delete, and then you'll see that they are no longer listed on here. So you can go through and make these kind of updates here by selecting the add button. And what happens when you select the add button over here under actions, it will preset that notification type. But what if we just want to look at what notifications are available and what we could do? Over here we have our add notification. You can see here it takes us to the same screen as when we selected the add button with the related notification type. So this is how you make updates to a notification scheme. But how do we apply this notification scheme now to our project? We want to use this notification scheme rather than the one that was associated. We're going to go back here to the notification scheme for our mobile dev project. We're going to go back to that actions button and we're going to select use a different scheme. From here, we're going to get a drop down with our notifications that we have. Quick tip, if you ever want to have it, maybe you're building out a project or you just have a silent project where you're just working on it and there doesn't need to be notifications, you can always select none and associate it. Now no notifications go out. We are going to go ahead and choose a notification scheme for this one. So let's go ahead and select our new one, our mobile dev notification scheme. We're going to apply it, and now you're going to see that it's going to reflect what we made the updates to earlier, and now it is only associated with just this project. There's one other area to look at here when it comes to notifications. So earlier we got here by going to summary and then coming down here to notifications. Well, also on the sidebar, you'll see there is a notifications button that you can select option. From here, there is settings. So it's going to take us right back to that same scheme screen that we saw before. There's also another option, project email audit. Now, this may be available for your projects. It may not be available for your projects. But what if it is available? What does this mean? So let's select project email audit. And what this is going to do is it's going to let you know if there was any certain reasons a notification wasn't sent out. It does do an audit over 21 days, and depending on your plan, there may be limitations. So what we can see here is that an email notification was going to be sent to Mitch. It was blocked, and here's the reasons why it was blocked. Mitch was on the suppression list. Here is the work key or the issue key, and then the date of the notification. So what can we do? We can select this and we can hit unblock one email. And what this will do is it will send a request to unblock that email address, and hopefully Mitch can start receiving notifications within the hour. So this is what the notification scheme looks like in a Jira software project. But what about a Jira service management project? Is it the same? Is it different? Well, the answer to that is yes. So let's look here at our human resources project that we've been looking at. In here, this is our service project. This is a Jira service management project. We have our notifications over here. We can select on the scheme over here, and this one's using the default notification scheme again. And everything here is going to look the same. Nothing is really changing from here. All the same items are selectable. We'll see that it's shared by this many projects. If we go to edit notifications, we'll see that we're still able to do the same type of edits. But there might be something a little bit different in here. We can choose the role of service desk customers. So one thing to be aware of, if you select service desk customers for any of these items, since service desk customers is a project role that is widely used in a Jira Service Management project, um, this will send out notifications to those service desk customers. You probably don't want that, right? Certain customers don't need to see certain other emails for other customers. Probably none of them. So how is that mitigated? How do you stop a notification from sending to all customers or anything like that? Well, if you look over here on your left-hand side, we have that notifications option again. And from here, we can select customer notifications. And this will let you update options for your customer notifications. So let's talk about each one of these areas. First, you have your attachment security. So you can allow for attachments to be downloaded by logging into the portal, or it will send a secured link so they're able to download the attachment without logging into the portal. So maybe you have some customers that don't log into the portal. It's all done via email through your service management email, which creates your work item, your requests, and that's how you communicate. That would be a viable option for you then. The sender name, you can always have it where it displays the user's public name for the generated messages, or it could just display the portal name of the service project. And then there are templates and notifications. Let's talk about notifications before we talk about the templates. So you'll see here, there's quite a few options for notifications. We have our name of the notification, the type of notification, the description, enable, disable, and then once again, action. So here we have customer invited. So this is for an account, and when a customer is invited to your service project portal, they are sent an email. You can either enable it or disable it. So from here, you can update what that email looks like, the subject and the content. You're able to also use variables to have dynamic information as part of the subject or the content. And as you can see here, you're using Jira's editor to, make things bold, make the data email format the way you want it to. So we're going to go ahead and click back. We'll just go back to our customer notifications. And we're able to do this for each one of these requests created. So here we're looking at our requests created. This one's going to be a little bit different than the one we just looked at because that was an account and it's just targeted towards a single user. So here with the request created, we have the to section, and right now it has customers involved. Who else can we add to this? We can have the reporter who is also the customer, or we can exclude the person who caused the action. So this says customers involved, so that would include the reporter. If we don't want to send them a request created notification because they went through the portal and they know the request was created, you can exclude them from that. And then we have here the content once again with the editor and the ability to add variables. You'll see here there's going to be a lot more variables that you can add for that dynamic information. And then the real nice thing is here at the bottom is that you get a preview of what that email is going to look like. And it's going to show you down here the view request link and to turn off this request notifications. Those are always included in notification emails. You also have the option to send yourself a test email to see how that looks. So let's go ahead and go back and look at some other notifications. So public comment added, public comment edited, request resolved. Let's look at that one. And you'll see here in the description, it's going to tell you what's causing this notification to go out. So with the request resolved, when a request resolution field is set, your service project notifies the reporter and all customers involved. So here it's going to show you customers involved and the reporter. Same thing that we just saw with the request created. But the trigger is a little bit different. So please do look at these, as these are the generic ones that are created with every Jira Service Management project. But you're probably saying, what if I want to have a different notification? What if I want to have a custom notification? What we can do is select this create custom notification right here. So this takes us to the custom notification automation option. Your project may or may not have this depending on your licensing level, free, standard, premium, enterprise. I'm going to show you how to set this up in case you do have that notification ability through the automation. So we can do approval required. We'll hit add. We'll hit send email. We can choose who we send the email to the reporters, maybe also to the customers involved. And in here, we can create the information we want. Please approve. We can hit continue. Add more conditions. We can make an update to this. We can also save or cancel it. I am going to cancel it for right now because I don't want that to happen. So, I mentioned previously templates. Now's a good time since you've seen what the notifications look like and the options. Let's go ahead and look at what the templates are. So I'm going to hit edit templates, and now we're here at the template for this project's customer notifications. So this is where you can go and make changes to the template of your email. Maybe you need to add some branding, things like that, logo. This is where you can do it, and your options are via HTML, CSS, or plain text. So this is where the difference really is between a Jira software notification scheme and a Jira service management notification scheme. The internal notification part of a Jira service management project is still the same as it was with the Jira software project. The difference here is those customer notifications and the customizing of those emails and enabling and disabling of those emails. So last, let's talk about a Jira business project. So here we are at our test business project. And you'll see here, there's no summary as we've seen before, but we do have notifications over here. So let's click that, and then there's notification settings. So this is going to look different than our previous projects that we looked at, than a Jira software and a Jira service management project for the notifications. We have here where it says notifications, and we'll talk about the add notification in just a moment. Email, which once again, this is the email that's going to be used. And then we have our event, similar to what we've seen before, and our recipient, similar as we've seen before, and then our actions. So let's take a look at our actions when a work item is created. We're going to hit edit, and what this does is this pops up a screen that looks very similar to what we saw before. It's just how it's presented is a little different. There's a little less options than what we saw in our previous internal notifications, right? So we still have all watchers, current assignee, current user, reporter, project lead, and project role. And when you select project role, it's going to allow you to choose those project roles. So this is where you would go to add or remove a recipient from a notification in a business project. We're going to go ahead and hit cancel. And up here, we can add a notification. And what does that look like? It's going to look very similar. It's going to show you the one event that you may not have selected here. So right now, the only one that we can add is when a comment is deleted. So we can select that, and we can make it where the project lead is aware of a comment being deleted. We'll hit add. And now if we were to refresh, we'll see here now a comment is deleted with the project lead as the recipient. No customization, anything else really beyond that. That's really what you get with the Jira Service Management project. But similar to those internal notifications, as I said before, it looks different, but it has a lot of the same functionality. So today we went over the notification schemes in a Jira software project, a service management project, and a business project.